Dem performance in red states might have been their ceiling in the Trump era. Washington, the toughest results for Democrats in the 2018 midterms were the Senate contests in red states, their losses in Indiana, Missouri, and North Dakota. But with all, or almost all, of the votes now in, here's something to chew on. Going back to 2012, Democrats actually maximized their vote hauls in these 4 states, suggesting that their 2018 performance was their ceiling in the Trump era. Take Missouri, for instance, where Reps. Emanuel Cleaver, Demo, and William Clay, Demo, McCaskill for not doing more to energize African American voters. But the nearly 46% of the vote that McCaskill got matches what defeated Senate candidate Jason Kander took in 2016, and it exceeds Hillary Clinton's paltry 38% in 2016 and Barack Obama's 44% in 2012. The highest Democratic percentage for a federal statewide race in Missouri going back to 2012? It was McCaskill's 55% against the very flawed Todd Akin in 2012. In Indiana, Joe Donnelly got 45% of the vote, higher than Evan Bayh's 42% in 2016, Hillary Clinton's 37% in 2016 and Barack Obama's 44% in 2012. The highest Democratic percentage for a federal statewide race in Indiana going back to 2012? It was Donnelly's 50% against the very flawed Richard Murdoch in 2012. In North Dakota, Heidi Heitkamp got another 45% of the vote, exceeding Hillary Clinton's 27% in 2016 and Barack Obama's 39% in 2012. The highest Democratic percentage for a federal statewide race in North Dakota going back to 2012? It was Heitkamp's 50% against Republican Rick Berg in 2012, and in Florida, defeated Bill Nelson got 50% of the vote. He lost to Republican Rick Scott by 10,000 votes, matching Barack Obama's 50% in 2012, and exceeding Hillary Clinton's 47% in 2016 and Patrick Murphy's 44% in 2016. Nelson got 55% of the vote against Connie Mack in 2012. Bottom line, despite any finger-pointing in Missouri, Indiana and, especially, North Dakota, the only Democrats who performed better than McCaskill, Donnelly and Heitkamp were McCaskill, Donnelly and Heitkamp against very different candidates. Oh, and as Democratic strategist Steve Shaw likes to say, Florida is always close. The one clear exception here was in Montana, where Senator Jon Tester, Democrat Montana, got more than 50% of the vote in his race against Matt Rosendale, up from his 49% winning percentage in 2012, while Clinton got 35% in 2016 and Obama got 42%. So good candidates matter. So do bad opponents. Nelson in 2018, 50% Murphy in 2016, 44% Clinton in 2016, 47% Nelson in 2012, 55% Obama in 2012, 50% Donnelly in 2018, 45% Bayh in 2016, 42% Clinton in 2016, 37% Donnelly in 2012, 50% Obama in 2012, 44% McCaskill in 2018, 46% Kander in 2016, 46% Clinton in 2016, 38% McCaskill in 2012, 55% Obama in 2012, 44% Heitkamp in 2018, 45% Clinton in 2016, 27% Heitkamp in 2012, 50% Obama in 2012, 39% Republicans ended up with a net gain of at least 2 Senate seats. Democrats ended up with a net gain of 7 governorships. Republican Rob Woodall is ahead, 50.1% to 49.9%. NBC News retracted its earlier call in favor of the Republicans. Dem Xochitl Torres Small is ahead, 51% to 49%. Republican Mia Love is ahead of Democrat Ben McAdams, 50.1% to 49.9%. Democrats currently have a net gain of 37 House seats, and counting. President Donald Trump had, an interesting weekend. Consider, Senator Sherrod Brown, Democrat Ohio, didn't back away from this earlier remark. If Stacey Abrams doesn't win in Georgia, they stole it. It's clear. It's clear. And I say that publicly. It's clear. Well, I think you look at the lead up to this election as Secretary of State, and I was the Secretary of State in Ohio 30 years ago. I know what you do, as Secretary of State. You encourage people to vote. You don't purge millions of voters. You don't close down polling places in rural areas where voters have difficulty getting to the polls, which were mostly low-income areas. You don't do what Republicans are doing all over the country, Brown said yesterday. But as election law expert, voter suppression isn't the same thing as stealing an election. Democrats should stop with the rhetoric that the race was stolen. First, rhetoric about stolen elections feeds a growing cycle of mistrust and delegitimization of the election process. Saying Kemp tried to suppress Democratic votes and saying the election was stolen are two different things, and making charges of a stolen election when it cannot be proved undermines Democrats' complaints about suppressive tactics. Rather than questioning the election's legitimacy or making unprovable claims of stolen elections, Democrats should focus their efforts into doing whatever is possible to prevent voter suppression and incompetence in the upcoming 2020 elections. Chuck Todd is moderator of an NBC News political director. Mark Murray is a senior political editor at NBC News. Carrie Dan is a political editor for NBC News.